Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Kevin Mahn, Chief Investment Officer of SmartTrust Unit Investment Trusts, joins me to discuss the launch of the SmartTrust New American Economy UIT strategy. Kevin, it's great to see you. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
You as well, Jill. Thanks for having me back.
And Kevin, before we learn about the new Unit Investment Trust, or what we call UITs, remind the audience what a UIT is. Is it like an ETF or mutual fund? Can it be traded at any time? What happens when a trust terminates?
Sure. So a unit investment trust is another type of investment fund, similar to a mutual fund or exchange traded fund. However, Jill, there's two primary distinguishing characteristics. First, there's a fixed term for each series of the UIT strategy. Generally, that's between 15 months and 2 years. For our New American Economy Trust strategy, that's a 2-year portfolio. The second distinguishing characteristics is its fixed portfolio. Generally, the portfolio holdings within a given series of a UIT remain static over the life of the trust. Under rare circumstances, a trust security could be removed from the trust portfolio, but generally they remain fixed over the life of the trust. They trade each day, they have full liquidity, and at termination, you have one of three options. The unit holder can invest the proceeds from that series into a future series of that portfolio strategy if offered. They could take the proceeds and invest it in another portfolio strategy or keep it in cash. Or if they have a certain prescribed number of units, they could actually take the underlying portfolio holdings in kind in a pro rata distribution.
What's the strategy behind the SmartTrust New American Economy UIT? What are some of the sectors that are featured?
Sure, and this is one of the most exciting and timely strategies we've ever brought to market here at SmartTrust. Essentially, we've been noticing a couple of structural changes in both society and the economy that have been taking place over the last 8 years. COVID-19 has only accelerated the societal and economic paradigm shift, specifically, Jill, in 3 areas, those being technology, e-commerce, and healthcare. The way that we are now working, as you and I are both doing now more remotely, the way that we educate our youth more remotely, and the way that we now shop more online than we ever have before are trends that we see taking place and continuing for the future. In addition, if there's any silver lining to this pandemic, and I hate using that term, Jill, because there is no silver lining to this awful pandemic, but the need for innovative healthcare solutions are of paramount importance. And even beyond COVID-19, there's unfortunately going to be more rare and chronic diseases and potentially more viruses ahead that we're going to need innovative healthcare solutions for. So our New American Economy Trust attempts to find quality and innovative companies within the thematic areas of healthcare, e-commerce, and technology that we feel will provide leadership in the new American economy emerging from COVID-19 and also providing investors with return potential likely over the next decade.
It's interesting, Kevin, when I read the press release, I went back to the number of years that you and I meet at least once a quarter, and it's always the consistent themes that you've spoken about.
Yes.
So why would an investor or advisor use a UIT as opposed to other package strategies?
Yeah, so that's really up to the investor and their advisor to determine the package, the product wrapper that's appropriate for a given investment strategy. The New American Economy Trust is obviously only available through SmartTrust in a UIT product strategy. But keep in mind, with the UIT strategy, there's full transparency. You know what you own for the period of time that you're going to own it. So you can build the rest of your portfolio around that. In addition, you don't have some of the concerns that you may have with an actively managed strategy, whereas the manager may be trying to drift away from their style or reach for returns. With the UIT, it's very much a buy and hold strategy where you know what you own over that time frame. So again, it's up to the unit holder for what's best for them, but we really see these themes of technology, e-commerce, and of course, healthcare resonating for the years to come.
And Kevin, while we have you here, what's your outlook for the remainder of the year? Are you adjusting any allocations or staying the course for what's expected to be a volatile fourth quarter?
Yes, certainly the days of volatility are not behind us, Jill. There are so many uncertainties ahead. Clearly, we have a pretty big election coming up on November 3rd. not just in terms of who's going to be the next president of the United States, but also what the composition of Congress will be, and if there will be a balance of power between the Republicans and the Democrat. Will Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat be filled prior to the election? Will there be another stimulus bill passed? And of course, vaccine, the timeline of that all-important vaccine. That creates a lot of volatility-inducing headlines. So investors should be braced for more volatile days ahead. But looking beyond those days of volatility, we still see those thematic areas, once again, of technology, healthcare, and e-commerce providing the leadership to the new American economy emerging from COVID-19.
All right, Kevin, as always, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
My pleasure, Jill.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.